Hi, I hope you are well. Firstly, a big thank you for purchasing my Lightroom Preset Pack 4. I am really proud of this pack. It is my complete toolkit for editing my images in Lightroom, and I hope you will enjoy using them as much as I do. This preset pack is specifically designed for Lightroom version 12 and later, as it makes use of Lightroom's masking features, which were introduced in version 12. The preset pack includes a base color preset, a base black and white preset, 18 brushes and 26 magic masks. Now, these are the only brushes and masks which I use to edit my images in Lightroom. Now, I want to make it very clear at the outset, and you will see this in the main part of this video, that almost all the editing that I do in Lightroom involves my masks and my brushes, not the preset. The preset is simply the first step in the process, and the process is made up almost entirely of me using masks and brushes. But by editing this way, you will make your images really sing. So by understanding what each of the masks and brushes do, not only will you enjoy using them, but they will help you to edit your images faster in Lightroom, and you will get great results. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the exact process that I use to edit my images in Lightroom. So please do take the time to watch the whole of this video, because understanding and learning the process is just as important as understanding what the masks and the brushes themselves do. In this video, you're going to see me editing 101 images from RAW to export, and by the end of the video, if you watch it all, you will understand my exact process for editing my photographs in Lightroom. Now, this video isn't just about the presets, brushes and masks either. I also show you some Lightroom shortcuts and other tips too, which again will help you with your editing workflow in Lightroom. So please see this video as being the instruction manual for the preset, masks and brushes. You won't be able to get the most out of this preset pack without watching this video, so please don't skip the instructions. Now, something else to say. I have been providing preset packs for over 5 years, and in that time, not only has Lightroom itself evolved, but so has the editing industry, and AI editing is now extremely popular. I myself have been using AI editing services since they started a few years ago, and a couple of years ago, I started using Aftershoot, and I was very proud when they recently asked me to become an ambassador for them. Now, I'm sure you already are, but if you're not aware, Aftershoot is AI editing software, and it works by learning your editing style in Lightroom. So by providing or feeding it with thousands of your previous edits, it's amazing. It learns how you edit, and it can then do that for you. And the more past edits you can provide it with, the more accurate your Aftershoot profile will become. If you don't have enough of your own edits to build your own Aftershoot profile, then you can also simply use one of their pre-existing profiles. Either way, you can get started with Aftershoot straight away. Aftershoot has saved me a lot, and I mean a lot, of editing time, because it takes away almost all the need for what I used to call global changes in Lightroom, and I will explain more of this when we get into the editing. If you are interested in joining Aftershoot, and genuinely I love it, and everybody I know who use it does as well, then here is my referral link. I will also include it in the email as well, because it's going to be very hard to copy it from the screen here, so it will be in the email that you received with this preset pack. However, there is a slight caveat. Although Aftershoot is incredible at the first stage of the editing process, I still go through every image and add to them my masks and my brushes, as you will see me doing in this tutorial video. To make it easier to understand, we can split up the editing which we do in Lightroom into 2 stages. Now, the first stage is where we apply our preset and then make global changes. In other words, we're changing the sliders so that it affects the whole of the image. Say, that's what I call global changes. And once we're happy with that stage, then we can move on to using our selective adjustments such as masks and brushes. You can complete stage 1 by adding a preset and then making global changes yourself, Or, as I've just been saying, you can use software such as Aftershoot, because Aftershoot is brilliant at completing that first stage for you. But just doing stage one will only get you so far into the process. To make our images really shine and give them the wow factor, we need to then move on to stage two and apply selective adjustments. And that is where this preset pack comes into its own for that second stage. So we can see this like we're baking a cake. Before Aftershoot, we would have all the ingredients in front of us, but still in packets. Aftershoot changed that, and instantly, when we use Aftershoot, we've got a cake in front of us instead of just the ingredients. And that's great. We can eat that cake, but it's just a plain cake. It's not a very exciting cake. It's fine, but it's not as good as it could be. The masks and the brushes are what I then use to ice that cake and make it look mouth-watering. So again, by following this video tutorial and by really understanding what the masks and the brushes do and when to use them, not only will your images look awesome, but you will also find that you can edit your images much quicker too. The real value, and it's really important I keep stressing this, the real value of this preset pack, which you have just bought, is in the brushes and the masks. Finally, as you may know, if you follow me and my work, I love my images to be punchy, vibrant, and contrasty. So my presets, the masks and the brushes, and the process which I use to edit my images is designed to make my images look that way. That does not mean, however, that my way of editing is the right way or it's the only way, but obviously I can only show you how I edit my images to look like how I want them to. Hopefully though, by the fact that you've actually purchased my preset pack, you already know what my images look like and you would like your images to have a similar look, in which case we're all good. So without further ado, let's open up Lightroom and I will talk you through the base preset, the brushes and the masks, and we'll then edit together 101 photographs across 2 hours so you can see exactly how I edit. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom and these are all the images that I plan to edit in this tutorial video, so settle in. But I promise you it won't take long, and that's the whole point of this video. I want to show you the workflow that I have with my preset, mask and brushes, and you'll see that it is a very actual quick process when we get down to it. Before we get into the actual editing, let's just talk a little bit about the layout of Lightroom and a few key areas. So if you've managed to install the masks and the brushes correctly, then you will see on the left-hand side, Magic Masks, Neil Redfern Magic Masks. So that is where they all live. And we'll go through each of these and what they do, obviously, in this video. At the bottom here, we've got the presets. And as you'll see, although there are 4 presets, in effect, there's only 2. One for color and one for black and white. And that is because I don't use any other preset as such. Presets now, as I mentioned in the intro, aren't quite as needed, I would say, as they used to be, because masks and brushes are what the majority of the work that I do in Lightroom is now. Preset is the starting point. And if you use Aftershoot, as I've just been saying in the intro, then that starting point is already taken care of. So if I was going to edit this image from scratch, you see, obviously, every image that you see, by the way, when you first see them, is straight out of camera, nothing applied whatsoever. And some of these images, I won't even apply a preset. I will just edit them using masks and brushes. And that's the great thing, you can do that. So I just want to really reiterate at this point that although many people who are newer to editing and post-processing and Lightroom maybe think, oh, there's only one preset, why is that? It's because a preset is just the starting point and everything else is in masks and brushes. And it's far better to learn editing this way because you can be far more selective doing this way than it is just to think you can do everything with one click. You can't. So see the presets as I've called them, the base. This is the first step. So I'll apply, say, for example, my preset here, and it doesn't make a huge amount of difference either. And I don't want it to, because as I say, the majority of what I'm going to do, the vast majority, is all in the masks. And if we go over here and we look under brush and then we click here, you should find these brushes as well. So all my work, I would say 90% of my work is done with these brushes and these masks. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. The next thing to say at the outset, which I always think is very important, is that I would always recommend that you use your, see over here where it says profile, that this profile is the profile that you're using in your camera. Now, I've changed from the past preset pack. I included the profile that I shot with, which is camera standard. If we go down to browse here, you will see that camera standard. That's what I shoot with in my camera, and you set this profile in your camera. Now, the problem that I had as the preset pack aged and new camera models came out is that sometimes people were buying a Sony camera that did not include a camera standard. When that happened, it looked like some of these were grayed out and it looked like you couldn't use them. So because of that, what I'm going to suggest that you do as a first kickoff is check in your camera what camera profile you're using, and then we'll reset everything. When you apply your preset, whether it be for a Canon, Nikon, or Sony, click on the preset. I'm going to go to profile, click on these little arrows here, go to browse. You should then see, if we go under camera matching, the profile that you're using in your camera. Select that. So I'm going to select standard. Now what we're going to do is go back to the preset, right click, or I'm using keyboard shortcuts here, so I'm going to press Control on a Mac keyboard, go to update with current settings, check all, and then well, I'm not going to do it now, but I'd update that. That means that your base profile, which is this one, will now not be as it was before Adobe Color. It will include your camera profile. Now, the reason that we do that is that if everything is set to 0 and your profile is camera standard, then it would mean that what you're seeing on the back of your camera is what you're seeing in Lightroom. There'll be a slight difference if you keep it on Adobe Color. Nothing to write home about. It's not going to be a huge difference, but there will be a difference. So that's the reason that I would suggest doing that as a kickoff. So I think that's the main things I want to talk about at this stage. Before we get into the editing, now let's talk a little bit about the histogram up here, because this is really important to the way that I want my images to look, and I'm often looking at the histogram. Now, first two things, if you look at the top corners of the histogram, you'll see these two boxes, and we can click these on and off. These are Lightroom's way of giving you the option of seeing clipping. So if we were to click on the top left, we can see that we're losing details in the blacks, because if we look at the histogram, there are 5 areas to the histogram. We've got the blacks on the very left, as you can see there. Then we move slightly over here, we've got the shadows. Then we've got this like no man's land. Then we've got highlights, and then we've got whites. Now, if we click on the top left, the areas that are blue there are just pure black. Now, that doesn't really matter too much if you're just showing your images online. So we're looking at it on phones, on computer screens. However, if you were to print this image and we were to lose a lot of blacks like this, it would look really bad, especially if you hold that paper up to the light, and you'll just see an area where it's just like a line almost, where the color and the black just stops, the detail and the black. There's no detail in the blacks. So I'd like to have these boxes checked so that I can keep an eye on the fact that I'm not losing any detail in the blacks there. Now, it's the same on the other side with the highlights. Now, we're not losing any highlights at the moment in this image, as you can see, because Lightroom is not showing us any areas of red. However, if we just push the whites and keep on pushing, we start to see areas of red appear. That, just as with the blacks, is area of 0 detail. So if we were to print that, then there'd be no ink applied whatsoever to those areas. And again, it just looks bad. If you're looking at an image on a computer screen, you can get away with it. But I really try with my images not to lose any areas of either lost shadow area, which is the blues, or lost highlight area, which is the red. So that's like a little bit about the histogram. Now, the other thing, which this is really important, is, as I mentioned in the intro, I like my images to be punchy, contrasty, vibrant. That's just a personal taste, and that's what I always try and achieve with my photographs. Now, that may not be what you want your image to look like, but bear in mind that I can only really teach what I do. So if you don't like that style, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but just bear in mind that obviously I'm showing you how I work and what I particularly like. So for me, I want to make sure that there is coverage across the whole of the histogram from the left to the right. Now with this particular image, again, everything's reset. This is straight out of camera. There is a bit of an issue there because although we have a lot of images, a lot of data, towards the left-hand side of the histogram, and that is representing the shadows and the blacks, and we can see when we look at the image, it is relatively underexposed. And I often do that on purpose, by the way, in order to not lose highlight detail. So this actually, to me, is a good in-camera exposure, but it's not a good exposure if I want to export this. And if you want your images to have punch and really just have that like, oof, like you look at it and it look punchy and vibrant, then you really want to have detail across the whole of the histogram. So how do we do that? Well, we can do that when we increase the exposure, because that will move everything from the left hand side to the right. As we can see, when we do that, it's like stretching it out. But if I go too far and try and do the whole way with the exposure, then it starts to look really poor. So we don't want to do that. So let's reset the exposure, which you can do, by the way, by double clicking. Anytime you double click on any of these words, it will put that slider back to 0. So quick double tap, back to 0. So I will increase the exposure slightly, maybe to about there, but we've still got a tiny gap, and that tiny gap is important because that is the difference between your images sometimes popping and not popping. We can see that this is an area here in the histogram, which is whites. And what we said before, blacks, shadows, highlights, whites, they are represented by these sliders. So if we increase the whites, it's going to push just this area. So let's do that and just get to the end. Now, without me doing anything, no preset applied, just exposure and whites, look at the difference that that image now has. Before, and I'm pressing Y on the keyboard now to show you before and after. Before, it was underexposed and just lacked the punch. Now, it's correctly exposed and it has the punch just by editing using the histogram. Sometimes I see people's Lightroom, they don't even have the histogram showing. I would really encourage you to make sure that the histogram is showing and that you're keeping an eye on it. In particular, for the lost detail, like we spoke about with the clipping boxes here, but also to make sure that you've got detail across the whole of the histogram, because the same would apply if we had a gap on the left-hand side. I would then push down the blacks to make sure that we've got detail from the left to the right. Okay, so that's a little bit about the histogram, and that's really important to say to the way that I edit. So now what we'll do, we'll actually start editing some images, and I'll show you exactly how I use the base preset, the mask, and the brushes. Now, I have given all these images a star rating, and the one that I'm going to start with first of all are 5 stars, because these will demonstrate particular points I want to make with some of the masks especially. And as we work through them, I'm going to drop the star rating to 1 so that it'll fall away, and then we can see how many we've got left. So let's start with this image. And again, the point of me showing you these images is to really introduce you to these masks, because I promise you, when these masks, which I know for me, I know them inside out, when you get to that point, you will start to fly with your editing and your images will start to really sing. With this one, it's okay out of camera. There's nothing wrong with this. Obviously, no bit preset applied as yet. So I'm actually going to edit this without any preset, because sometimes I genuinely don't ever apply a preset if I'm just doing like a one-off image. So what I'm going to do here is apply Power to the People. Now, Power to the People is a mask that will automatically pick out the people in that shot and raise them up. It will raise the exposure slightly. Now, the other thing that I'm going to really encourage you to do, I'll get into the habit of doing, is using this amount slider up here. So we've just applied a mask. If we press brushes up here, we can see the mask there. Now, you can see it's only applied itself to the actual people, and that's good. That's exactly what we want. What we can now do is use the amount slider to increase the power of that mask. And I would encourage you to start doing this. So when you apply the mask, don't just think that that's it. Use the amount slider to get where you want it to be. As it happens, 100% actually is pretty decent for that, I think. Now, we can also do something else just to add a bit more pizzazz to this photograph, and that is to use something like Party. Now, Party applies color to the background of the image, but it does not include the people. So if we hover over Party 1, you'll see we get that. Party 2, Party 3. Now, I actually don't mind Party 2 for this one. So let's apply Party 2, but it's too strong. You can see we're losing details in the whites, which is what we don't want to do. So I'm going to turn that down. So we get to about there, and I think that's quite nice. And again, if we now go press Y, and we see the before and after, we've got from, let me just hide the pins. Is it H? Yeah, H, by the way, turns pins on and off. We've got from the left to the right really, really quickly. We've not applied a preset. We've not used brushes. We've just used the magic masks. And I think that's a really nice image now that I would happily export. Again, straight out of camera. Now, just for sake of argument, I will apply my base preset now. It won't do a huge amount to that image. There you go. It sort of warms it up slightly. That's mainly due to the HSL sliders down here. You can have a look there what the preset is doing. We can also change the power, or the amount rather, of that preset by using this slider again up here. I don't tend to do that with the preset itself, so I'll leave that on 0. We've lost a little bit of detail up here. Sometimes you do lose a bit of detail. It's nothing to worry too much about, especially in the sky, but we can obviously bring that back. Now for this one, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to, first of all, apply Golden Gaze. Now you'll see now, if you're familiar with the preset pack 3, I had Golden Gaze in there, but it was in the form of a brush. And that's fine, but these are now much cooler. What Golden Gaze can now do, there's 3 forms of it. One, if there's people in the frame, which I'll show you in a second, an example of that, it will not include the people, but it will drag down from the top. 2, if we've got sunset on the horizon, again, I'll show you this in a second, we'd use Golden Gaze Horizon. But in this one, we just want Golden Gaze, which is a sunset type mask, to come down from the top. So we just click on that. There we've got a really nice sunset now. Now, again, we can change the amount of that. I'll keep it somewhere like that. But what we're going to get into also the habit of doing, if we press K on the keyboard, we'll see the mask there. If we press the mask itself and then press H, we can then move that mask around. The further we pull it down, the further the sunset effect will come down. If we push it up, it starts to go away. So we'll put that basically around there, and then by pinching the bottom option here, pinching the bottom, we can go up and down like this again. So I'm going to put it about there. I think that's really nice. Oh, by the way, if you ever want to change the mask whilst it's selected, we can just pull down the highlights a bit more and it'll just get rid of that little bit there, which I'm going to do. Now, if we press H again, then the mask goes away. There is grass in this photograph, obviously, as we can see. So I'm going to now show you how else I would embellish this photograph by using a brush called Green Grass. Right, so K, that brings up the brush menu. Going to go to presets here, select Green Grass. Now I'm going to make that brush a little bit bigger, and I'm going to paint over the areas where the grass is. Doesn't matter if you go over the couple, that's fine in this example. But that is just adding a nice bit of punch to the grass area. Again, by going over here, we've got the amount slider. We can turn that up and down, and it will always be personal preference where you want it to be. I actually didn't mind it where it was, so we'll put it around about 100 again. Now, a couple of things to mention at this point. I just applied that with a brush. You can have two brush sizes in Lightroom, and you alternate by using the / key, or the one with the question mark on it on a Mac. So if we want to make that one of these brushes smaller, just for speed, basically, we can have a big brush and a small brush at the same time. Now, the key thing that I use with the brushes is a large feather. The feather we can control up here. Now, if I was to put that feather to 0 and then apply, let's just push this up so you can see it for sake of our, oh, actually, let's just remove that mask. Let's apply it again. Now, the feather is at 0 now. You can see the edge, and we don't want that. That just doesn't look great. So let's undo that and then press K again and put the feather back up to something like 70 or 80, somewhere like that. Let's put it on 85 then. Now, when we do that same brush stroke, you can't see the join because of the feather. And the feather means that the edge of the brush is fading away. So that's really good because you can't see the join. It means we can go over the bride and groom here and you can't tell. And that's really nice. So that's why I virtually always work with the feather quite high. The flow and the density is relating to the power of the brush. So the lower, again, if I just undo what we've just done and we put the flow and the density very low, it hardly has any effect, because the flow and the density are so low. So I like to have them at about, again, 80, 85, something like that. Now, bear in mind that that also means that you can add to a brush. So do it again. If we now go over here, that's applied 85% of the strength. It means that we can apply it again and it'll be a bit stronger. But I say, for me, if you want to work like I do, I have them up here, something like that. Oh, so the other thing that I should have mentioned in terms of the mask is this auto mask feature. That should actually been turned off. I normally have this turned off. What that does is if you want to paint over a particular area or object, let's say the bride in this example, then with auto mask turned off, then we'd have to use a small brush like this and just be careful about the areas that we're going, because it will overlap. If you press O on the keyboard, you'll see in the form of a red highlight where we've just brushed. And you can see that there is an area outside of the bride because auto mask was turned off. Now let's just delete that mask, do the same thing. Auto mask is now turned on. Now the edge will be, it will not overlap the bride unless you go way over. You know, if you're relatively careful, the area that we've just painted, and we can see this now by pressing again O on the keyboard, that will show you the mask. We've gone over a bit there because Lightroom's got a bit confused, but you can see the dress in particular is now very accurate because auto mask was on. Last thing, if you're using a brush and you press Option, that will turn it into a subtraction brush. We can then just, the bits that we went over, I feel like paint by numbers, we can then just take away again. So you can end up with quite an accurate mask. Again, O will show you what we've just done. So that is like the brush menu. Oh, invert as well. That's something else I should mention quickly. It will become more apparent when we do some more examples. But if we invert the mask, it will basically mean that the area that we've just created becomes not the mask. Everywhere else is the mask. Like that. So it's a very useful tool, the invert box. And again, that will become more apparent when we do some more examples later. Let's now just edit this one again in real time. We apply my base preset. We put golden gaze from the top. I then wanted to slightly take away that highlight. So the mask itself, I select, and then we just pull down the highlights of that mask there. Now we press K for a brush. We select green grass. I want auto mask to be turned off. I'm going to use my larger brush. And now it's going to go over. I'm not particularly neat with this. You don't need to be. Something like that. That would be it. And again, by pressing Y, we see the before and the after. And it's very effective, I think, just by applying the base preset, 2 masks, 2 seconds of tweaking, and we're there. Promise as well, by the way, that the whole video will speed up very soon. It's just really important that I show you these fundamentals. So let's press 1 on that one, so that one goes away. Okay, let's try this image now. So I quite like this image straight out of camera, but it's a little bit too cool. So let's apply my base preset to this. And I still like it. It's got a bit more punch now. That's what the preset does. And the histogram's looking pretty healthy. We've got a bit of lost detail up here. But again, don't stress that too much when it's the sky, because sometimes it can't be helped. But I feel like it's a bit too cool. The great thing when you start editing using the mask and the presets, it gets to a point where it's almost like a reflex. You know what you want to do as soon as you see the image. And I know what I want to do to this instantly. And it's very similar to the last one, because I want to apply golden gaze, maybe a little bit of power to the people, and then green, green grass. So let's, as we did in the last one, select golden gaze from the top. Instantly, I think that's a real improvement. We've got a little bit of lost detail up here in the sky. Now, that may be too much. I'm going to have a look now. Again, by pressing K and clicking on that mask, if I bring back the highlights, I'm not a big fan. So I'm going to undo that, Command Z, and I'm just going to crop in slightly, just so we don't have that too much of a distraction, because the more that you lose highlights, the bigger the distracting element it becomes. And for me, I don't want your eye to be taken away from the people. So I can live with that there. We could even go further and get rid of it completely, but that's fine. Now I'm going to apply a little bit of power to the people. That's going to lift the exposure of all the people in this frame. So let's do that. There we go. Now that is too much. So all we do, we go to the amount slider and turn it down. Okay, we don't want to go down here. Maybe somewhere like that, I think he's looking nice. Now I'm going to apply green, green grass. But this time, I'm going to apply it in the form of a linear gradient. So to do this, I press M on the keyboard, select green, green grass. From around here, I'm just going to drag up. Now that's given loads of punch to the grass. Now, maybe a bit too much because we're losing highlights. So what we do, we go to the amount slider and we pull that down so that we don't lose those details. Now, I hope you're starting to see the speed that we can edit at and just the difference we can make by using Magic Mask and brushes and those alone, because we have gone from that to that really quickly. That's the power of getting to know the brushes and the masks. Okay, so we'll press 1, that goes away. Another image here from the same wedding. Let's apply our base preset again. Now, we've lost a little bit of detail in the back. We can see that with these areas of blue. So I'm going to introduce another brush to you now. We could just bring up the blacks. We could do it that way. But what I like to do, because I don't want to bring back too much of the detail of those lost areas, because I actually want your eye to go straight to the couple. And if we try and bring back loads of that detail area, it starts to, the background becomes more of the story. I don't really want it to be. So by pressing K and selecting a new brush to you at the minute called, we either burn or bring it back, they will bring back lost shadow detail. So in this case, I'm going to choose bring it back, and I'm just going to paint over those blue areas. So we're not losing any detail in the shadows anymore. You can barely tell with your eyes, but you could tell if you were to print this image. The groom, his suit has lost a little bit of detail there. So I'm going to bring that back. We do have a brush for this called Save Highlights, but that might be a bit overkill for this. Actually, there you go. We've just used Save Highlights, and it's just brought back a tiny bit of the detail that we were losing from the groom's suit. Okay, let's just zoom in. Also, by the way, up here, when you see the mask menu, by clicking on that little arrow, we can then see what the mask has done by turning it on and off with this, by clicking on this eye. And as we get closer in, you see that we did need to do that because we were losing too much detail. So what do we do now? Well, I want to make this sky punchier. So I'm going to introduce another new brush to you now. So K, brush menu, and we're going to use now Mr. Blue Sky. Auto mask is turned off. That's good. And without being too careful, I'm just going to go over that area of sky. Again, if we press O on the keyboard, we can see where we've painted. You'll notice that I've gone over a lot of the green of the trees. Doesn't matter. You can't see the join. But that gives us really nice punch to the blue. I also want to add a little bit of punch to the green as well. So K, green grass, and let's just go over there. I think that looks cool. Is that horizon straight? Just going to crop maybe there. And now really quickly, we've gone from there to there. We've added punch. We've added impact. We've gone from left to right in seconds. Again, by using this workflow of using the masks and the presets, and just really lifted the whole feel of that photograph. Really simple one now. I'm not going to apply a preset to this one just so you can see that the preset is not really as important as it used to be for me anyway. So with this one, that's obviously straight out of camera again. Everything's at 0. I'm just going to apply power to the people. Just going to lift them slightly. Maybe that's a bit too much. We've lost some detail. So let's bring it back slightly. Now, I don't want to go back too much further, but we have still got some areas of lost detail in the highlights here. So that will be K. That's new brush. Save highlights. And again, we just paint over those areas. Now, some areas may be quite stubborn like these. Now, I'm not going to stress about that because if we go too far, it starts to just all look a bit problematic. But that's fine. That will take away the majority of it. And again, it's really important to stress that sometimes you can't save every highlight. And if you try to, we'll end up making the picture look a bit too fake. So you don't want to do that. But by taking away the obvious areas, then we're good. Can we do anything else to this? Well, it's actually fine as it is now. But I'm going to introduce now another new mask to you called Pop. And Pop will only affect the background, so not the people. And as the name suggests, it will just give it pop. So let's just press that. There you go. And I really like that. Is it a bit too strong? Maybe. Maybe we just drop it to 50% or somewhere there. You'll see that I'm never that exact, by the way, just something like that. But again, I think that's all we need to do. That's how long it takes. It's really quick. Again, we've gone from there to there. Not a huge change, but an important change, I think. Because I think the one on the right now is much stronger. It's certainly much more in keeping with my style now. Let's work on this one now because, again, I can introduce another new mask to you. Again, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what do I want to do? Well, I want to bring the sky back a little bit and I want to add more punch to the grass. You can probably guess what I'm going to do with the grass. So let's first of all apply my preset to this one. Now I want to change that sky slightly. It's all a little bit too bright. In fact, I might even make what I call global changes. Before I do anything, I might just bring the exposure down slightly. And when I do this to global changes, because these sliders are making differences to the whole of the photograph, not just areas, then I'm looking at the couple. So when I'm changing the exposure here, I'm just looking at the couple and thinking there, it looks okay for them. So the next thing now is going to masks and brushes. To say that's the extent of what I would do with when it comes to the preset and the actual global sliders. So I'm going to change the sky and I've got different options here. I can bring back the sky with a mask, which will do that. Not bad. Don't mind it. Mr. Blue Sky here is not going to apply because that's a linear gradient from the top. Actually, don't mind it. That wasn't in the plan. So yeah, we could use that. In fact, if I apply that and then press K and we look at it, you'll see that it is only affecting the sky, not the couple. Let's just delete that for now. Let's see what Stormy Skies does. I like that. I'm going to go with this. Now, that's a bit too strong. Remember, though, if you think the effect is too strong, we just go to the amount slider. We can turn it up. Don't want to do that. Maybe we do, actually. But we'll go down. And about there looks good to me. So that's a big improvement already. I'm now going to add punch to the grass by pressing M for linear gradient, which we used before. I'm going to go to green grass, and from about here, just drag up about there. I really like that. And again, with just 2 masks and the preset, we've gone from there to there. We've just added so much more punch to that image. And again, that's something like, would I show that anywhere? Maybe not. It just looks a bit flat. Would I show this one? Yes. And remember, if for your taste, anything is too strong, like let's say green grass is too strong, we can just go to the amount slider and change it. And it's entirely up to you where you go. We could, if we wanted to, even bring up the couple more, although I don't need to. But if I wanted to, I'd just go to power to the people either. And then, see, we've lost detail in the bride's dress when we do that. So we have to turn it down slightly, maybe about there. But I really, really think that's a big improvement on what we had in the beginning. So with this one, we can already see that we've lost detail in the shadow areas. That's because it was very, very dark when I took this photograph. So it's not a surprise, but I would still like to try and bring them back if I can. First of all, let's apply our preset. Now, we've got 2 options when it comes to bringing back those lost details. Well, I could just do global changes and bring them back that way, but I don't want to do that. I try to resist doing global changes and changing any of these if I can. So instead, I'm going to press K. We could use the bring it back brush as we did before, just to show you that would get rid of it really quickly, and it does a good job. So there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. Or we could use another brush called Burn. Now, Burn actually will give the impression of underexposing even further these areas, but it does something which will bring them back, those areas. So what it does is, as you see, when I go over there, it will look to our eye like we've underexposed those areas even more. That is because what the brush is doing is it's bringing down the shadows even more. But importantly, it's bringing up the blacks a little bit, and that little bit is enough to bring back the detail, and that's exactly what we want. So that's always important. Now, do I need to do anything else to this? Probably not. The histogram is looking healthy, got details all the way across. I would actually crop this in a little bit more. Let's just do that. And this tutorial is not about composition or anything like that, but I couldn't resist. But I love the background bokeh, and I want to add some more punch and pop to that. There's a clue. So if we go over here and I click pop, that background is going to sing a little bit more. So now, again, remember, you can change how much it sings by using the slider over here. Lost a little bit of tiny detail there, so that will be K. Save highlights. Gone. That's all it needs. Oh, bit there as well. And these aren't lost, but I'll just get into the habit of doing that. If any, this is what I do. This is why I take quite a while over editing sometimes. If any of these little dots look too bright, I'll just bring them back. But again, we've gone from there to there really quickly. And again, just to prove it in real time, going to do the exact same thing. Preset, K for new brush, burn. This is exactly how I would normally edit. This is how accurate I would be. So not very accurate, but don't need to be. Then we'd add pop. We crop in. We press K for new brush. We go to save highlights. We just go over that bit again, and that's it. Oh, we've lost a little bit up here. Burn. Fine. That's how long it would actually take. And we've gone from there to there. Not huge differences, but key differences that really do make a difference. Okay, this one's come up, so let's just quickly do this one. We'll add our preset. Lost detail. So this time let's bring it back. Some of it is quite heavily lost. That, again, doesn't matter. We're only talking tiny bits. There you go. It's gone. It's fine now. Now, I'm going to look at this. What would I do? Let's look at the sky options. No, it's too much. Stormy skies. I think but obviously that's too much. So we just use a little bit of it. And again, it's bringing back the exposure. So the eye goes more now to our couple. But I want to bring out a bit of the punch of the the green. So I've just pressed K, green, green grass. And I'm not going to go over all of it, just areas, something like that. It just adds that little bit of pop to everything. Again, that's all I'd probably do. We've gone from left to right, but look at the difference. So with this, again, straight out of camera, let's apply our preset. Now I'm going to apply Go Green, but I'm going to do it in a slightly different way this time because I want it to affect the whole of the background. I'm going to press K plus select background and green, green grass. So it automatically selects the background. I could have built this as a magic mask, but it's very rare that I would want that to actually happen to the whole background. And again, all I need to do now is decide how strong I want that punch to be. Again, if you go too far, it looks too fake. So we don't want to do that, but we do want to add something. I think about there is nice. And the other thing that I'm just going to show you here is a magic mask called Wide Open. That will give you a wider aperture, or certainly the perception of a wider aperture. So let's click on that and just keep your eye on the background. It's going to go more out of focus as if we've shot this on a wider aperture. There you go. And I think that works really nicely on this image. Oh, little thing, by the way, this is nothing to do with my preset pack, but if you zoom in on an image like that, this little bit of hair is distracting. I'm going to press Q on the keyboard. That brings up the remove tool. I'm going to go over that and let Lightroom do its thing. Yeah, it's just gone. Just my eye just goes to things like that and it's just distracting. So I'll quit before and after this image. So let's work on this image now. Now, for me, this is a black and white image because it carries a lot of emotion, this one. And I like to, those photographs where I think, oh, yeah, that's like, maybe it's a tear or something like that, then I tend to go for black and white. So I'll apply my base black and white preset, and I won't need to do much more to this, to be honest. Now, the difference between the black and white preset and the color one is really in the clarity. So you see that in black and white, I push up the clarity, dehaze and texture. With the color preset, I bring down the clarity. I'm not really a fan of a lot of clarity in color images because clarity can just add too much punch, especially to skin areas where I think you can get away with it more in black and white. So that's what the black and white preset does. Now we are losing a little bit of detail in the very bottom here. Would I do anything to that? It really wouldn't really matter. It's such a tiny area. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to press K and bring it back again. And just go over those little areas there, just for the sake of being professional. I could also, as well, with black and white images, or in particular, images where there is dark edges all the way around, I sometimes like to apply a slight vignette, and that is what little Vinny does over here. So let's just apply him. You'll barely be able to tell, but it has been applied. We can go down here and look at effects. You'll see that's all little Vinny does. There you go, but I think it works really nicely. And again, the histogram is looking nice and healthy. Detail all the way across, no lost detail. Well, a tiny bit there, but let's not lose any sleep over that. We're pleased with that one, so that one can go away. Let's move on to this image now, because I'm going to show you one of my favorite brushes, Let It Rain. I love this brush. It adds so much impact to photograph where there is, surprise, surprise, rain. So with this one, I'm not even going to apply my preset to this. I'm going to show you just straight out of camera how we can edit this. So first thing when I look at this is Demi is a little bit overexposed. So I'm going to bring down the exposure. And when I do this, remember, I'm only looking at Demi when I'm doing these global changes. So let's put her about there, I would say. We've not lost any detail. Oh, yes, we have. We've lost some detail in her hair, so we're going to bring that back. So that's K. Save highlights. The more you do this, it will become second nature to you. I'm just going to go round her hair. Now, a couple of things. Well, we've got a little bit of lost detail up there as well, top right. So that's K, new brush. Bring it back. Done. No lost detail in the shadows or the highlights. What do we want to do now? Well, two things. I want to make that rain look more impactful, but I also want to soften Demi's skin slightly. And we can now do that with two new masks, which I'll introduce to you now. Super Skin, Faces, and Super Skin Faces and Body. As the name would suggest, if you select Super Skin Face and Body, it will apply to Demi's face and her body. When I say body, it's just the area of skin. So it doesn't apply to clothes, you can see there. It just applies to the area of skin that we can see. And I actually think that's quite nice. It might be a little bit too strong. So let's just drop that slightly. Go to about here, but that's looking good. And again, if we do a quick before and after, we've already made good improvements here. Now let's apply Let It Rain. Now, Let It Rain is now available in 4 different styles. Let It Rain itself, which, let me just turn off for sake of argument the clipping so you can see more of the effect, what that's going to do. Okay, you don't even have to press it. You can just see what it's going to do. It's just applying the Let It Rain mask behind Demi, not to Demi. We can also add a blue gel. Well, in a way, it looks like where we've added a blue gel behind Demi by doing that. Now, if you were to apply this one, let's apply it. Let's press K to see the brushes. That's the one that's applying the blue effect. And that's by moving this circle, we can move where that blue effect is actually applying. If you can see, as I move it around, that's where the blue goes. So I'd want to place that right behind Demi there if I was going to use it. Also, if you wanted to make the circle of that blue gel in effect smaller, we just go to the edge of that circle and change it here. So that would be a small blue area, as you can see, or we can make it nice and big. Again, it's got a big feather, so that works nicely, I always think. Again, if we press H to hide that, you can see what that's done very, very quickly. I think it's really effective. In fact, I may even be happy with that as an edit. But for the sake of argument, I'm going to delete that mask and delete Let It Rain by just pressing the delete key. I'm not going to show you Let It Rain not on the ground yet because it won't apply to this image, but Let It Rain with color, which is one of my favorites, it's just like a color explosion. I think it looks really cool. So let's apply that one. If we turn the clipping on, we've got a little bit of lost detail here of highlights and here in the shadows around the edge. So what I want to do now is press K, and this time let's do burn. I'm just going to go round the edges just to make sure that we're not losing that detail. It also applies a bit of a slight vignette as well, which I think looks nice. Let's also press K, save highlights, just to bring back those lamps. Again, if it's stubborn, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter that much. We've also got a bit of a, because of where Demi was stood, this is on me, not on Demi, it's a little bit too highlighty on this little area here, just to the side of Demi. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of the, there, that's all we need, of the Save Highlights brush there. Now let's turn off the clipping again. Yeah, that's cool. We're not losing anything in the highlight, in the shadows, sorry. We're losing a tiny bit in the highlights there, but I'm not going to worry about that because that was basically just a bright lamp. We can't do much about that. The last thing with this image is I just need to crop slightly because it's hurting my eyes. It's not symmetrical. That looks better. So really quickly again, we've gone from there to there. And that just is a great example, I think, of how much difference you can make your images so quickly once you get familiar with the magic masks and the brushes. So the more you practice with them, the more you get familiar with them, the quicker you'll become. And then you can start to make dramatic differences to your images, as you see here, within seconds. Let's just do a nice, quick, simple one. Okay, so let's apply our base preset for this one. It's obviously a bit underexposed, so I might bring up everything here a little bit. But what I'll actually do is press power to the people to bring up our bride and groom. Like that. That looks much better to me. Now, if I wanted to just to bring up the faces more, I will go to Super Skin Faces. Just brings up the faces a little bit, and now I think they're pretty much there. We could apply pop to the background, although I'm probably forcing it. Let's just put a little bit then. There we go. So again, just a few clicks, we've gone from left to right. Okay, this one's come up, so we'll do a dancing shot now. We've not done one of these yet. So I love dancing shots, and I love these party masks over here. So if I hover over them, you'll see that they are affecting the background only. And I've done a few different ones in case you want to change the colors and stuff. Or Night Fever, which is like a generic background one, which actually works really nicely here. Now, there's two things we need to do here. One is to add impact to the background, but also we need to bring up this lady here. So let's actually bring her up. Now, what you can do is by going to the masks, again, we can press K. We can go to plus and select people and then just select her. And then entire person, create mask, put everything else back to 0 by double clicking on preset. And I'm going to just literally just bring her up. That easy. And now let's look at our party masks again. Yeah, I think that one looks cool. So we'll apply that. Do I need, yeah, actually let's turn it down a little bit. There. Maybe little Vinny. And that would be it. I'd probably crop in a little bit closer. But again, very, very quickly, we've gone from left to right. We didn't even apply a preset to that one. As I say, you don't need to apply presets sometimes, especially if you're getting it like pretty close in camera. So with this one, I won't apply a preset to this one either. Straight out of camera this, as you can see. And I'm going to apply a few different things here. First of all, let's put Let It Rain. Let's see what that does. Cool, that looks nice. Also, I want to apply a bit of Golden Gaze to add a bit more warmth from the top. So let's do Golden Gaze behind people this time. And you'll see if we go to the masks that that is not affecting Demi and James. That is only affecting the background. I could, if I wanted to, remember I'm pressing H now, bring that down further. Let's press O. Yeah, I think that was cool. H to get rid of that. And I might also just apply Super Skin, Faces and Body. Not 100% no, maybe there. And Little Vinny. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, we've lost a bit of detail. So K. Burn. Burn or bring it back. It doesn't make a huge difference. There we go. Ooh, have we got a little bit of gap there that we can add some more punch in? So let's close the brushes and let's just push up the whites. This is adding the punch. Yeah, cool. So again, what within if I was doing this without talking, that would be 20 seconds, 30 seconds to go from left to right. But the difference is huge. Okay, yeah, this one's open. So we'll introduce a new brush to this one. So let's apply our preset. Why not? Sometimes I do apply the preset, sometimes I don't. Now, when we do that, the couple are a bit too hot. I think we might be losing detail. Well, not, but they just look a little bit overexposed. So I'm going to bring down everything. We'll go to about there. And I'm going to press K and save highlights. And just a little bit over them. Yeah, that looks fine. Maybe in a bit more. That's it. Okay, right. We're not bad now anyway. But I want to now introduce a new, well, two options to you, which is sunset bokeh. This is a great example where we're shooting through leaves at sunset. Well, actually, it's not a sunset. It's a fake sun. That's actually all coming from a backlight or that warm light. Completely different thing. That's a shooting tutorial. I will be making a fake sunset tutorial for Flashmasters soon. There are a couple of videos which talk about it briefly on my YouTube channel. But anyway, let's just look at the image. The warm light is being created by Flash, but it could be created by sunset. But either way, we've got warm light in the foreground. So we can use sunset bokeh soft, which would do this, or punchy, which would do this. Now, again, both of those are a bit too hot, I would say, as a stand. But if I apply punchy, I can turn it down. So we just need a little bit like there. And now we've got something really cool, I think. Now, obviously, Helen is in this shot. Thank you, Helen, for helping me with this. So to get rid of Helen, as actually probably you'd do it in Photoshop, but what we can do it in Lightroom by pressing Q. That brings up the remove tool. Let's just go over there and just go up. You'll see that it's actually quite a big selection I've made there. Hopefully it won't matter too much. We click remove. We let Lightroom do its thing. And then hopefully it does a good job. Yep, that will do me. You've always got three different options as well by clicking and cycling through. They're all pretty similar. And then we just click close. Perfect. So let's even Little Vinny. Does that work? Yeah, I like that. So again, ooh, little gap on the right, we can push up our white slightly. Okay, so we've gone from left to right. Okay, this one. I've included this one to demonstrate another new brush. So let's apply our preset to this. First thing, we've lost some detail in the background. Do I need to apply global changes? Probably not, actually. So I'm going to press K. Now, this will probably get to a point where it's becoming a bit repetitive for you, but that is no bad thing, because the more you see something, the more it becomes second nature. Oh, we've gone a bit too far on that bit there, so I was going to do that again. Now, that is actually fine. There is nothing wrong with that at all, but I want just to demonstrate a skin smoother brush. So if we press K and skin smooth. Now, I've not included this as a mask because I feel like this is always going to be very selective where you use this, because it can be quite dramatic. And if you apply it over the whole face, it won't work, or it might make the whole face look a little bit plasticky. But I'm just going to apply it there, maybe a bit over the eye. Now, if I show you that, let's zoom in a bit more and show you the difference, you'll see it softened the skin. But I did not go over the eyes or the lips, eyelashes, because if you do that, the whole face starts to become a little bit too soft. Whereas I think that works really nicely. And again, I wouldn't do much more to that. Maybe we could apply a vignette because the edges are relatively dark. Yeah, that would be it. The histogram is looking healthy. So again, with this one, we've gone from left to right. Before, after. Notice that you'll see a slight change in the edges, and that's just distortion. The preset that I use, all the presets that you now have built-in lens correction. So it's just trying to correct a bit of the distortion which will be caused by certain lenses. And last one in the 5 stars, I like to include this one because I just have fun with this. So let's apply our preset. This is, I just throw loads on this one. For the first time, I'm going to show you Golden Gaze Horizon. Now, what that does is it produces a radial filter with Golden Gaze in it. So again, if we press we press K, we select that mask and now press H, we can move it behind the couple. But what I'll probably do actually is stretch it across the whole horizon like that. And I think that looks cool. Maybe even make it a bit bigger. Okay, let's press H to close that. Let's look at bring back the sky. That's actually quite nice. And the bottom, I'm going to add a little bit of punch to that. So we have another brush that I've not showed you yet called bokeh. Now, anytime you've got something you want to add punch to, I go to the bokeh brush. Let's just do that and let's turn that up. And now I might also apply a little Vinny. Yeah. The couple in this shot are a little bit, I don't want to see quite as much detail. So I'm going to bring back the blacks globally now, or even the shadows, sorry. We're starting to lose some detail, but weirdly, I don't always mind losing detail if it's a silhouette, because if they look completely lost, it doesn't matter, because that's the point of a silhouette, really. So if we do that, we've really quickly again, we've got a little bit of a gap on the right. So see, I always just note it before I finish an image. Let's bring up the whites. Whoa, that's impactful now. Now we've gone from there to there by just throwing on all the good stuff. In fact, maybe I've gone a bit too far. Maybe I had too much of a party with the old white slider. There we go. That will be cool with me, I think. Okay, excellent. Let's just close that one. And that's the 5-star ones all done now. So what we'll now do is move on to the 4 stars. And the times when I have used a brush before, I'm just going to apply it and not talk as much about it, because I'm going to go through these really quickly. So let's get cracking. Some of these don't need much at all. And sometimes I've just added in images which I feel, a bit of a standard image that we'll all take. So with this one, it will just simply be preset. I mean, that's probably fine as it is. Let's just move the exposure down very slightly. Maybe a little bit of power to the people, but not much. Probably doesn't even need it. But I could do a little bit, and then I might just pop the background slightly. That's too much. So just, again, that would be it. A little bit of crop from the left. So, yeah, don't always feel like you need to be working on images for a while. You don't. I mean, that's fine. And we've gone from there, a little bit flat to there, a little bit punchier. This one, I think, is a black and white image. The color isn't really telling much of a story to this one. So black and white for this. George's face here is a little bit underexposed. So let's now apply Super Skin Faces. Also softens the skin. Might just turn it up slightly. Globally will increase the exposure. Globally, please. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe even Faces is a bit too bright now. Turn that down. Yeah. Okay. And again, we've gone from left to right. Okay, this one. Again, let's apply our preset. Let's do it. Okay, preset. Couple look fine here. Now, I'd quite like to warm up these foreground lights. I could do that with pop. They don't really warm things up as much. Just makes it a bit more vibrant. But I'm going to undo that. What I'm actually going to do is go to K, Golden Gaze as a brush this time, and just paint over those foreground lights. We're nearing losing a bit of detail in the bride and groom there. So I'm going to go to K, save highlights, make it quite a small brush, and just go over those areas that are getting a little bit too hot. About there, I think. Let's crop in. That's how long it takes. Before, after. See, with an image like this, doesn't need much at all. Base preset. I mean, everything's fine in the foreground. I might just press K again, save highlights, and just bring back this lady a little bit in the background, just so that your eye doesn't go straight to her. Maybe a little bit of the groom's hand as well. So we're now going to his face more. That would be it. Again, small changes, subtle changes, but changes that do make a difference. This one I really like. Again, doesn't need much doing to it. Color in fact, sometimes it might just be the preset, to be perfectly honest. That one there, the crop is a bit wonky, or rather I shot this a bit wonky. Maybe something like that, and that would be it. Again, sometimes I just want to show you images. I put them in here just to show you that you don't need to do very much. This is another example. Do I need to do really much with this? If anything, no. Let's apply our preset. Everywhere might be a little bit too hot now, so we'll turn that down slightly. I could apply Super Skin Faces. Also, what I can show you, though, is, because this is just a good example of it, we do also have a magic mask here called Dentist Dream, which is for teeth whitening. And again, we can turn that up and down. I also have one. It's very rare that I ever use it, because oftentimes, even being honest, I forget. But which is whites of the eyes as well, which will just improve people's eyes. But I'll show you that one if and when I can remember we come across one. Another, just a documentary one. Now with this one, I would like to bring back the top a little bit, because I feel like the sky is a little bit distracting because it's a bit too bright. So I've just applied my base preset. Obviously everything there is a little bit too bright. So I'm going to turn down the exposure globally to about there. Now let's bring back sky. Yeah, that looks better to me, but maybe you don't need it that strong. Maybe about there. And what I'll then do is I'll press K, go into that brush and bring back the highlights a bit more, like that, by just pulling down the highlights of the mask itself. And now what I might do is just Super Skin Faces and Body, just to bring them back up slightly, like that. But again, we don't, subtlety is key sometimes. So we're there. So with this shot, I've gone from there to there. Subtle, but look at the sky in particular, and this area of the phone, how we've managed to bring back the detail. Next up, let's go for this one. This is really easy. So this is all about Golden Gaze for me. I'm going to use Golden Gaze Horizon. I'm going to press K, then select that mask and press H, move it behind them, and stretch this out more like that, so it looks more sunsetty. Now this is an example where I'm not going to stress about the lost highlights, because we can actually bring it back. There you go. So that looks much better now, I think. So let's press H again to get rid of that. Yeah, and for silhouettes, sometimes I like to bring up the clarity a little bit. Maybe there. Big difference, but it took seconds. Similar with this image. In fact, this was taken at the same time with the same couple. Just shows you the difference between a focal length. With this one, let's apply the preset here for because why not? So we'll do the same thing. We'll put Golden Gaze Horizon on, then we press K, we select the mask, then we press H, we move the mask, then we can make it bigger, go up here, and now I'm going to apply Mr. Blue Sky from the top, which will drag down a blue mask from the top. I'm going to turn that up, but also what I'm going to do is bring up the exposure of that as well. So with that mask selected, I can bring up the exposure so we see it a little bit more like that. Now, globally, I might just bring up the clarity. Say I'd like to bring up the clarity of silhouettes. And again, we've gone from there on the left to there on the right. Remember, if any of this seems too much, I'm now looking at it thinking, oh, it's Golden Gaze a bit too much. We press K to go to the masks. We select the mask and we can just bring it up or down. Maybe the subtle is a bit better there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one just come up, so we'll do this. So it's the same wedding. Dancing, so we know what that means. I'm not going to apply a preset to this one. Let's just crop in first of all. Something like there. Okay, now we go to Party or Night Fever. Always give Night Fever a go. This is what I used to use before Party existed, and it looks cool. But I think Party could look better. Let's see which one we like. Yeah, number 1. So that's probably a bit too much. Going to bring it down. Little Vinny, maybe. Yeah, and now I'm going to press K and save highlights. Just because we've got a little bit of... Yeah, maybe just that. Just to take the heat out of those highlighty bits. And maybe on this one, I'll increase the clarity. There we go. So we've gone from left to right. And look at the background especially. This one, really straightforward. What I want to do with this is all about the punch of the foreground bokeh. So let's apply our preset. Everything's a little bit too hot, so I'm going to bring down the exposure of everything. Oh, sorry, that should always be ticked. Lost shadows. Now, I'm just looking at Olga here. Yeah, she looks good. So what I'm going to do with this foreground bokeh? Well, I could, if I wanted to, apply a party. Now, it's going to be too bright for this particular one. But I could always turn that down like that. I could apply that, bring it down. Crazy foreground bokeh. But my plan was, let's just undo that and that, to apply pop. It just brings up what was already there. No added color mask for this one. And that was cool. But I might also just apply wide open. Keep your eye on the bokeh. It will just go softer, as if we've used a wider aperture lens. There we go. And I like that now. So with this one, we've gone from there. Nothing wrong with it really, to there. I don't know what it is. It's just that pop that I just think really makes a difference. Next up, let's go to this one. Very sort of standard image. Let's apply our preset. The sky is a bit of a problem here. So let's try Stormy Skies. Yep, that's good. Can we even add... bit too much. Let's just try Mr. Blue Sky from the top, but that it needs to be turned down. Yeah, and maybe a little bit of K. Green grass. Let's make a bigger brush. I don't mind if I go over the couple, by the way, when I do this. Maybe a little bit up here, not too much. Now we've lost a bit of detail in the bride's veil, so K. See, I'm already doing it so instinctive. Just going to go over there. That's it. And again, the difference, although we've worked quick, is quite noticeable. Okay, this one for me is just a black and white shot. Again, I think, 'cause it's quite an emotional one. Let's bring around the highlights again. Probably wouldn't do very much to this. Actually, I might bring back the highlights on the left of the groom slightly. And of that area, let's bring back the exposure. Slightly different crop. Again, I wanted to include images that I'm not going, you know, are more standard than portraits, say. Okay, this one of Demi from my Shine Workshop. I'm going to apply my preset. Now, this one, I might use a new brush called Hazy Jane. So we go down to K and Hazy Jane. It's a bit like Golden Gaze in that it just adds a nice warmth. And over these foreground leaves here, I think it'll work quite nicely, yeah. Now, I might also, this is a soft shot, so I'm putting down the clarity a little bit, but I'm also now going to do super skin, face, and body. I was thinking then, do I do super skin, face, or face and body? Yeah, I think that's nice. A little bit of a crop in from the left just to put them more in the middle. But yeah, again, we've gone from there to there. A couple of very similar here sunset shots. This is straight out of camera. This is made for Golden Gaze. So I'm not going to bother putting a preset on this. Golden Gaze from the top. Yeah, I mean, that's nice. I might just turn it down a little bit. Bit of Power to the People, maybe. That's too much, so I'll turn it down. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do much more. Let's just straighten it up again. Again, it's not, this video is not about that, but I can't, certain things just go through me. Oh, let's turn on our clipping again just to make sure. Yeah, we're good. So we've gone from left to right. And I'll do something very similar to this one. Now, with Golden Gaze here, I could go behind people, but that might look a bit too fake, as you see there. Or I just do it from the top. I'm going to do it from the top, but that is too much for me. So instead of turning it down like this, what I'm going to do instead is press K. I'm going to click on that mask, press H, and now I'm going to just move it up slightly. We'll place it about there, and now from here, I'm just going to just move that about there. Yeah, it just takes the edge off. We'll also apply a little Vinny, slight vignette. We'll lose a little bit of detail at the bottom, so let's bring it back. Again, I keep on saying it, but you don't even think twice after a while. You can listen to music, listen to a podcast. You're not even thinking what you're doing. It's all instinctive. Should we try even like a little bit of K new brushed soft sunset bokeh? Maybe just a little tiny bit here and there. And again, we've gone from left to right. This is an easy one for me. Let's preset. Yeah, let's do it. This one is going to be pop because I want to apply pop to every area of the photograph except for the couple here. And again, if we press K and look at what pop is doing, it's applying the effect to everything outside of the couple. I might just bring back with save highlights a little bit of those areas there, but that would be it. This one again has got Golden Gaze written all over it. Preset, not much of a difference, which is fine. Golden Gaze from the top. Ooh, nice. Crop in a little bit from the top, just take that stingy bit away. Maybe a little Vinny. That'll be it. So we've gone from left to right. Okay, dancing one. I need to crop in from the right first of all with this. So for me, presets, let's Power to the People it. Not going to need much. In fact, we'll lose a bit of detail when we do that. Let's go back here. K, save highlights. Just take the edge off those bits. And now we just choose one of our, well, I forget about Night Fever. Night Fever, yeah. Party, ooh. Which one? Let's go for Party 2, I think, but I'm going to turn it down. Little Vinny. There. So again, left to right. In fact, Little Vinny there, I might just turn up. Yeah. So we've gone from there to there. Again, I'm not changing any of the global sliders. I'm just using the mask, as you can see. Okay, this one, okay, just needs a bit more punch, this one. So that's actually pretty nice, to be fair, just with the preset. But I'm going to press K, and I think we're going to go to, you see the Hazy Jane Gold? Oh, actually, Bokeh Soft, Sunset Bokeh Soft. And again, the flow's gone down. That's very annoying. Need to figure out why that's happening. Yeah, something like that helps. And now let's look at our sky options. Bring back sky, I think will be too much. Yeah, but sky from the top, I expect. Yeah, that's nice. Maybe not quite as strong as that. Something like that will do. And again, from left to right. Told you we'd pick up the pace. There's some new brushes that I need to introduce soon, which I will do. So base preset for this one. Now, this one is actually a bit too warm. The white balance is slightly off, so I'm going to just turn it down. Now this is Power to the People because I do want to lift up the exposure. That's getting there now. Also, maybe Super Skin Faces. There we go. Let's just straighten up the crop. So again, only masks and brushes. There to there. Do we even bring it up a little bit more? Or we'll lose a bit of highlights, so you know what to do. K, save highlights. Quick go over. Fine. Same wedding, different photograph, obviously. It's this is obviously coming out of the wedding ceremony. So let's not even apply our preset to this one. Let's be crazy. First of all, we need to bring back some of those lost details. So we're going to go to K, bring back, just go around here. And again, the foot, why is that happening? Sorry. When the brush isn't working as I'm expecting, it's because that flow keeps on going back to 10. There we go. Power to the people. Yeah, that looks cool. Little bit of a straighten up. Histogram means we can go to the right a little bit. That's nice. So again, I'm not going to do it every single time we've got these little bits of missing highlights, by the way. I'll just leave them. You know what to do now. It'd be K, save highlights. Nothing much for this one either, to be fair. Preset. In fact, I don't know if I'd do anything, if I'm being honest. Maybe bring back the highlights slightly overall. Crop in a little bit because I don't like going through those people on the right. That would be it. Sometimes less is more. Again, wouldn't need to do much with this. Play our presets. Everything's a little bit hot, so let's just bring down the highlights of everything and the exposure. Straighten it up. In fact, I might stop even doing the crops because you don't need to see this. This is not part of the pack. But yeah, again, really quick. Let's do something a bit more. Oh, this is a cool one. Let's apply our preset first of all. Let's crop in a little bit. Now this one obviously is full of energy, but the lady on the right, because she was a bit close to the flash, she's a bit too hot. So I'm just going to bring her down first of all by pressing K and save highlights. Bigger brush. Remember, with the large feather, you don't have to be too accurate. Something like that, I think, works. Now we go to Night Fever. Now, I'm pleased this has happened, so I can show you something in a second. Feel like Night Fever might win here. No. Party 1. But notice that the person in the middle, if we look at the actual brush, and hopefully Lightroom will get better. I mean, Lightroom's brilliant, but Lightroom will get better at this in the future. If we look at one of the brushes there, it's emitting, which is what I want, this lady on the right, but it's including, we can see because if I drag it over more, it's including this person here. Now, we don't want it to because he's going to be very red or, you know, a bit, he just looks ill. So we want to include him in the emission of this brush. So to do that, we click on the brush, we go to subtract and subtract with brush. Now we just paint over him and these people in the background because this is taking away them from that brush. Mask, sorry. So now when we press O, which removes the area that we're using, then he's not in that now. So we're looking cool now. Let's just go back to everything and increase the clarity a little bit. We've got a little bit of lost highlight on the man in the middle. Also, that bottom brush as well, Lightroom's not omitted him. So I'll just bring it down slightly. Yeah, that looks good. And definitely Little Vinny for this one. So we've now gone from there, which looks very out of camera, to there, which just looks cool. You know what I'm going to do on this one? I would imagine that you do. It's going to be gold green. I'm going to do it in two ways. One is going to be a linear gradient from the bottom, so M. So I call it gold green. It's now called green grass. Apologies. It used to be called gold green. Maybe take it down slightly, but what I'm going to do is press K for a brush and just go around some of the highlighty bits that we already see. So I'm not going to go around everything, just the highlight bits. A little bit of power to the people, maybe? Why not? But we need to turn it down. And again, with no preset applied from left to right. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to add punch and impact because the one on the left, the straight out camera, always just a little bit flat to my eyes. Okay, this one's very underexposed. Let's apply our preset. So we need to bring up the exposure first of all. Yeah, now we're going to bring back by K, bring back some of the lost detail on Kane the groom's jacket. That's looking good. Now K, Do we go punchy or soft? Let's go soft for this nice, warm foreground bokeh. Don't need it over every bit. Something like that. Turn that down slightly. I mean, I could do something with the sky, but I think it's fine, actually. So again, left to right. Quite a big change, that one. This one, very little. Let's apply our preset. This is mainly just going to be to bring back the lost detail. Done and done. Probably, actually, I will bring down the exposure by a little bit and then go to Super Skin Faces. Perfect. Now, I can actually demonstrate here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Just going in really close so I can show you what whites of the eyes does. There you go. So it just, as the name would suggest, shows the whites of the eyes. Let me just bring up the brush. There you see. Could also, I mean, not that we need to here by any means, but we can also Dentist Dream. Bit too strong, but it's rare that I use this, if I'm being honest, but it's good, again, to demonstrate what it does. That will probably be it. And remember, all it was preset and a couple of these masks to go from there to there. So it's really, really important, actually, that you remember that less is more sometimes. Right, let's do this. Let's do a black and white. Not done one for a while. Obviously, everything's underexposed here. We can see that from the histogram. So let's bring up our exposure. Well, let's just double click on the blacks. That will set that to 0, which will get rid of most of the lost highlights. I'll do a little bit of bring it back just on those areas and a bit of the lost leaf. But this shot I actually took with the intention of it being black and white. I tried to put the groom against the light background and the bride was wearing white against the dark background, so they're contrasting. Yeah, just that, I think. Don't think we need to do much more. There to there. This is a great example, this one, of green grass. So let's apply our preset. Little bit of bring it back. This is a tough thing. When you're shooting in bright conditions with a bride wearing white and a groom wearing black, it's very hard to not lose detail in one of the two. And if that's the case, I'll always choose to lose detail in the black. It's easier to bring it back than lost highlights. So what we're going to do here is K, which is brush again, new brush, green grass. And again, all I'm going to do is go over the highlighty bits. Now, this is probably too strong as it stands. So what do? We simply, yeah, I just like it though. It just lifts that, but I'm going to go back here and then it's up to us where we go with it then. I think maybe about there, straight up slightly. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to do that. Can't resist it. And then we've gone from there to there, or rather, okay, it's just added that punch. Darcy. Okay, right, presets. We've lost detail. Let's double click the black. That brings back most. Okay, bring it back. Now again, dancing. So it's going to be Night Fever or one of the party options. Let's go for Night Fever on this one. Give Night Fever some love. That's cool. Turn it up. Yeah. I'm going to actually apply Super Skin Faces just to bring Darcy's face up slightly. And we've got a little bit of a hot spot. This lady in the background as well, it's a little bit too bright. Now, why is that happening? We'll find out. Because she's been included in this mask. So I'm going to click on that mask, go to Subtract, Brush, and go over her. Sometimes I say Lightroom doesn't quite get it bob on. Now, the next thing I want to do is press K, Save Highlights. Just go over Darcy's hand just to take away the hotspot of it. Let's just about there. I was going to crop in ever so slightly from the left. Little Vinny. Yeah, I think that is decent. So we've gone from there to there. Right, this is actually a key one because I know that champagne shots are really popular right now. So I want to show you a couple of these. Right, first of all, let's apply our preset. Now, this one, I really have everything now is a little bit too hot in terms of the highlights. I'm going to bring down the highlights about there. I actually think as well, I'm going to bring up the white balance. We'll go about there. Now, what I want to do now is get rid of the softbox and Helen from the right. So I'm going to crop in slightly just because it's the quickest way. Right, I'm going to demonstrate now something I've not showed you yet, which is let it rain, but this time let it rain not on the ground. Now, that is going to apply the mask to everywhere except for Darcy and Matt and the floor. Now, what we need to do when we apply this particular mask is press K, click on the mask, press H, and just see where the floor is, and you can move it around. It will change where it affects. So I'm going to keep it about there, drag it up a little bit like that. Now we press H again. Now, obviously, we can see that in doing that, we've lost a lot of highlights. So let's press K for a new brush. Save highlights and just go over a lot of the area that we've lost. Also, K, bring it back. We've lost a few bits of highlights there, but again, I'm not going to stress about that. What I could do, though, is go to the Let It Rain mask, which is this one, and just turn the effect down slightly. Yeah, that is looking good. Now, I'm just going to look at Darcy and Matt and think there's a little bit of a hot spot between them, especially on Matt's shoulders. Let's go to K again, save highlights, and I'm just going to go around that area. And I think we're probably there. Maybe a little bit as well of the lost highlighty bit there in the spray. Maybe we could even M, which is a linear gradient even, save highlights from the bottom, drag up just to darken down the floor. H if you want to see what you've done. Right, I think that is pretty good. So we've gone from... Oh, remember, if you want to get rid of like Helen's arm there, you press Q for the removal tool. But we've gone from there to there. Again, subtle but big differences. And before we move on, let me just go straight to the other champagne spray shot, which I've got in here, which is this one. And again, it's similar. So I'm going to apply my preset. In the center, we've got a little bit of hotspots going on. Put the exposure down. Let's go down to about there, I think. Now, first of all, I'm going to bring back the lost detail in the top left. So I've just pressed K, bring it back, just go over that area. It makes no difference to what we see on the screen, really, but if you were to print it, it would be a big difference. What I'm now going to do is apply Let It Rain. Turn it down slightly, because remember, Let It Rain is designed for rain, not really champagne, and champagne can be really strong in terms of like the water droplets in the air, stronger than rain even. So we just need to turn it down usually. Now that also means that the Bring It Back brush needs redoing. So K again, we're already on Bring It Back, just to go over those little areas. If you never intend to print your work, then you can probably get away with skipping that, but I always like to do it. Now K again for save highlights, just going to go over the lost areas in the spray, just to take the heat off. Also, we've got a bit of lost area in Scarlett's hair. Let's bring that back. And the dress is a bit hot as well. So let's just do that. Maybe the arms there and there. Just need to crop in slightly because it's not quite in the middle. Perfect. Maybe bring back the highlights of everything. Yeah. There to there. The one for Scarlett and Michael's wedding. This one, I think I might only do a couple of things. One, crop it just to strain it up. We've got the magbots creeping in from the left there. You see this is my light as well. It's all off camera flash because it was taken at the dead of night, just after the champagne shot, actually. So let's just go down slightly. We'll use that as our composition. Now, this time I'm going to apply Hazy Jane, but I'm going to apply it in the form of a radial filter. So I'm going to press Shift and M. I'm going to draw round. Let's press H to see what I'm doing. Go round the couple. Like that. Now press O, see what area we're affecting. You can see, obviously, I'm going to affect the couple at the moment, but I want to affect everywhere except for them. So I'm going to click on Invert. So it's going to affect everything outside the couple now. I'm going to go to Hazy Jane and press O. No, I was wrong. Hazy Jane is not the right tool for that one for me. Instead, Golden Gaze. There we go. What I'll also do is just change the feather. And maybe little Vinny. So again, from there, it looks a bit cool there to there. Could also, if we wanted to, bring down the overall exposure of everything, maybe there, and then do a little bit of power to the people, but not much. Because when they're against a black background as they are, it looks a little bit fake. But yeah, that will do. So we've gone from left to right. We've not done a speeches shot yet, so let's do that. So let's apply our preset. Now this one, to me, I'm just going to lower the exposure of everything. It should just be a case of pop, because I want to increase the exposure of the bride's face, but also make the surrounding area just pop a little bit more. So let's press pop. Yeah, I like that. I just turn it down a little bit. And now, super skin faces. Has that done anything? No, this is good in a way. Well, bad, but good. So you'll see that Super Skin Faces has not worked. That is because Lightroom is struggling to identify this area as a face. I'm hoping this will improve in the future. The reason being that some of the face is obscured by the veil. So instead, what we'll do is we will just get rid of that mask. Instead, we'll press K and we'll go to a brush called Faces, which is going to lift up the exposure of the face, but also soften it as well slightly. It's basically the same as it's similar to Super Skin Faces, but in the form of a brush. Yeah, that's cool. Right, and now we've gone from, let's just turn off the clipping. I'm not going to stress about this bit here because that's just bokeh, and sometimes it just looks bad if you try and bring that back. But we've gone from left to right. Again, subtle this one. Okay, dancing again. Let's apply our preset to this one. Notice as well, I'm not applying the preset to most of them. Now let's look at party. Way. Okay, let's go. Just go for it. Turn it down slightly. Crop in. I do like sometimes to apply vignettes, a little Vinny to dancing. And yeah, probably it. Okay, same thing. So let's add our preset. Let's add one of the party ones. Let's just do that. Turn it down. We've just got a little bit of hotspot on the singer's hand. So I press K, save highlights. Notice how this has become so second nature. And then we've gone from left to right. Done. Old school champagne shot this before I learned the Jeff Tisman way. If you want to get better at champagne shots, by the way, please watch Jeff Tisman's champagne spray tutorial in Flashmasters. It is worth its weight in gold. I love champagne shots now, and it's basically all down to Jeff. So with this one, let's apply our, let's say this is before I did it the Jeff way. Now I'm going to apply Let It Rain, not on the ground, because we've got the ground in this shot, obviously. Let's press, first of all, where is that applying to? So K, click on the H. Yeah, decent. So K again to get rid of that. Now we're obviously losing a lot of detail here in the blacks. I'm also going to take away some of this effect. So if you want Let It Rain to not apply or remove it from certain areas, because on this left-hand side, it looks a bit too strong in the clarity, I'm going to go to Subtract and Brush and just go over those areas to take the sting out, basically. Yeah, that's looking fine as it is, I would say. Might go to K, save highlights, and just go over the floor a little bit more. Something like that, I think. Oh, one thing I've not showed you is K and a brush called Lift It Up, which is basically just a little quick increase of exposure. So I could do that on certain parts of the building just to bring back, it's like tells a little bit more of the story, maybe like that. Yeah, so we'll see more of the building and much more of the punch from the champagne. This one will probably just be a preset. Preset, yeah, I'm not really going to do very much to this. This one, let's press preset. Don't need much again, and nothing wrong with that, by the way. Just going to increase the exposure of everything. What I might just do is Super Skin Faces. Now that's obviously way too much. Let's just about there, I would say. In fact, what I'll do is I'll bring down the exposure of everything and bring up Super Skin Faces slightly. Yeah, that looks nice. Would I do anything else? Probably not, no. So we've gone from there to there. Beautiful wedding, this one. Okay, so preset. It's a bit underexposed. We can see that with our eyes. Let's just increase the shadows and the exposure. And go to faces brush this time. So K faces. And that's just because I only really want to apply, I think, to the bride in the foreground. Maybe a little bit in the background. Might be a bit too warm overall. What would pop do? I'm learning as you're learning. Yeah, a little bit of that wouldn't go amiss. Not much. Maybe there. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we've now gone from there to there. This one is built almost for one of the party options. So party one. Party one brings red from the right and blue from the left, which is perfect for this. First of all, I think I'm going to bring that. No need for a preset. Just going to bring down the highlight slightly, but now apply party one. Crop in ever so slightly so we've not got those hot spotty bits. Let it shine. A little bit of Little Vinny. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of Super Skin Faces. Yeah, that's probably it. Again, from there to there. Ooh, this one really demonstrates the Stormy Skies one well. So let's just go to, well, let's first of all, what will Bring Back Sky do? That's actually okay. Not going to use from the top. Stormy Skies. Ooh, yes. But probably too, is it too fake? Maybe. So let's turn it down slightly about there. The other thing I want to do here is K, green grass. Just obviously go over the grass areas from there to there. Could even K lift it up, which is going to bring the exposure up slightly on the car like that. So we've gone from there to there. Okay, this one I like for the foreground bokeh. This is me shooting into a makeup mirror, but we don't see it very much at the moment. So this should be a case of pressing pop. It'll apply everywhere except for the bride. Good. Now we turn up pop. And maybe by selecting the pop mask, which is this one, we're just going to bring up the exposure even more. Or rather the shadows even more. Yeah. Then a little bit, I think, of faces. Oh, now Lightroom can't see that there's a face there. So instead we have to press K and choose faces from the brush menu. If you know what that is, please let me know. So again, from there, bit too flat to there, punchy. One of Demi here. This is a great example for Let It Rain not on the ground, because if I press Let It Rain, look at the floor, it just looks too distracting to me. So not on the ground. And then we need to press H to see where that line is. Bring it up slightly in this case. Like that, I think. We're also going to press K again for save highlights and just go round Demi a little bit there. Backflash was a bit too hot in this shot. Should have turned it down at the time, but yeah, that's fine. Now we need to increase the exposure on Demi's face and body. So we click face and body, turn that up. Might want it a bit more, so I'm going to press K, faces, just go over, and then just turn that down a bit. I think there. Now, again, this is quite a dramatic difference, but, oh, I forgot, we didn't even apply the preset there. Or you could also, if you wanted to, press K, Golden Gaze, and just warm up the lamps. Just the lamps. So we've gone from there to there. This is probably just a preset one. Again, I include them just to show you that sometimes you don't need to do anything. That'll be it. Same with this one. Preset. Maybe a bit too warm. Let's increase the shadow slightly, but mainly for this, it's going to be Super Skin Faces, just to put the focus more on this lady's face. Yeah. If you want to see, Super Skin Faces will apply to all faces in the scene, including this gentleman on the left, and we can see that by pressing O. There's where it's affected. If you want to remove that man, then from the mask, then we click on the mask, we click subtract, could do linear gradient and just draw over him. And it's just going to apply now to the lady in the foreground. This is maybe an example where we could press Dentist Dream. Again, don't need to, just to show you what it does. There you go. Her teeth just got a bit whiter and brighter. So we've gone from there to there. This one is just, again, a little bit of golden gaze from the top. Actually, yeah, from the top. I think that might be a bit too much. Let's press K. Let's drag up, make it a bit more natural, maybe about there. And we just need to take the couple, Scarlett and Michael, out of this. I've got to go to brush. Something like that. I wouldn't. Oh, also as well, I quite like adding a bit of blue to this water. Now, there isn't a specific brush to do that because it would be so rarely used. But let's press K, double press on preset, everything goes to 0. Let's lower the white balance to something like down here, and then let's just go over the water. Just to make it a little bit bluer. As I say, I did think about including this as a mask or a brush, but it would be very, very infrequently used. That would be about it for that one. Again, no preset. That was just me using masks and brushes. But there is a bit of a hotspot really on Michael's face. So I've just gone to K, save highlights, just go over Michael slightly. Obviously, we get rid of Helen by pressing Q. Just going over the mag box and Helen. Sorry, Helen. It's nothing personal. There we go. Remove. Boom. This one, let's preset, lower everything. Golden gaze behind people. K. And I might just bring it down more. And then just turn it down. That would be it. Might warm the whole thing up, actually. Yeah. So we've gone from there to there. Go to this one of Demi now. Preset. Again, I can include the preset, don't need to. Let's do Super Skin Faces. Nice as it is. Don't need to change that. White to the eyes even. Yeah, that's good. Maybe a bit of pop in the background. Nice. Might just turn that up slightly. Yeah, that's cool. Right, we are flying now. Okay, this one, preset. Definitely need power to the people. Very, very underexposed. Yeah, bring them up. Bring the whole thing up, actually. Now we just need to bring out the highlights slightly. A little bit of save highlights brush. Don't need a huge amount, but just to take the sting out. Yeah. That's a tough one. So bright, the conditions. But we've gone from there to there. This one doesn't need much. All I'm going to do actually is not going to apply the preset. Let's underexpose it slightly. K for save highlights already selected. Just go over the groom. And now we'll just pop. Is that too much? Okay, it's always personal preference, but I think there, that was cool. There to there. In fact, maybe yeah, let's just change the tint. It's a bit of a green cast on them both. So to get rid of that, we turn up the tint out there. I think that looks nice. This one, let's apply our presets. Let's increase the exposure slightly. Now this will be, I suspect, a K and Sunset Bokeh Punchy. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Okay, notice that I'm not being massively sort of careful in terms of where I'm going with this. Does that work? We need to crop in a bit to get rid of that highlight from the top right. Maybe I bring everything down slightly. Yeah, I think that does. A little bit of save highlights from the bride's dress up. She's got a bit of an orange arm. That's my fault because in this mask, I need to go to subtract and brush. Yeah. This is what I love, this sort of bokeh like that. I just love it. So we've gone from there to there. Same wedding, much more simple shot, this one. Preset. Let's turn it down everything. Let's go to Super Skin Faces. Yeah, I quite like it already. Let's pop the background, I think. Yeah, probably that. There to there. Again, quite a standard group shot. with this one, I'm going to use Power to the People. That could even be it, to be honest. We could even use a little bit, actually, of Golden Gaze from the top, behind people. But it's going to be too much, I suspect, as it is. I don't know. Let's just turn it down a little bit. Also, there is also here a mask called Lower the Background. That will lower the exposure of the whole background, like that. Or lower the background, just the highlights in the background, which is what I think works better here. So it's just those leaves that I've just sort of affected. So we've gone from there to there, but it's really Power to the People working hard on this one. This one again will be Power to the People. Probably turn it up a little bit. And now maybe the sky from the top. Yep. Let's just straighten this up. You'll see from this video that I can't shoot straight. Yep. I didn't even apply a preset to that. Let's apply a preset to this one because I didn't to the last one. This is all about green grass, okay? Green grass. I'm just going to go over the highlighted bits of the trees. Probably too much at the moment, but don't worry, I will turn it down. Like that, I think. And then I always find it easier just to do this, and then you just sort of, where do you leave it? Let's go back there. My little tip, I would say, is wherever you first think, just lower it a little bit from there so it's not too dramatic. Also, the couple are a little bit lost here, so I'm going to press K and go to lift it up. Yeah, just puts a bit more focus on them, and I'll bring back the sky. Just take the edge off. So with this one, we've gone from there to there. It's actually, when you see it, it's quite a big difference and one that was needed. Okay, this isn't a rain shot. It's a waterfall shot, but it's made for Let It Rain. So let's just click on Let It Rain. Now, unsurprisingly, Lightroom can't identify Ken, Vicky, and Helen here as actual people. So it's included Let It Rain over everything. So we need to take them out. So we press K. We click on the mask. We click on Subtract. And then we click on Brush. And then, remember, the feather's big, so you never see the join. Just to go over them like that. And I'm also going to press K while we're here again. And go to lift it up. And just go over some of these extra dark areas. Just to bring back a little bit of detail there. That's looking cool. Literally just painting with light when you do this. Might even go to Let It Rain again. Could we even turn it up a bit more? We can, but when we do that, we just need to take away certain parts. So I've just increased the exposure of that mask. We're going to go to Brush and just take away. In fact, I'm going to lower the flow and the density of this Subtract brush just to take the sting out of the highlighted bits of the water. That looks good now. Let's press K. Faces, which is what my general brush that I use if I want to increase the exposure on people. Just go over Ken and Vicky and just bring them up slightly. That looks good. I'm going to press Q now for remove. Just go around Helen again. Nothing personal. And then remove. Yeah. And remember, no preset either. Put the clarity up for, because why not? No preset, and we've gone from there to there. This one doesn't need much at all. Base preset, turn it down slightly. I would say a little bit of Super Skin Faces. Turn it down slightly. That will probably be it, to be honest. I don't think I need to do much more to that one. Ooh, got a few options with this. Let's do Let It Rain. Yeah, that's cool. Power to the People. Little Vinny. What I would actually spend most of my time doing with this image is getting rid of the distraction elements there, which I would do by pressing Q. I'm not going to do all of it because it will... Oh no, if I just do this, just fly around those distracting areas, because when you see the before and after, when you do that, it's quite dramatic. And that's the main bits. Okay, let's do remove. Now, when you look at the before and after, this is why it's so important to get rid of these distracting elements, because the difference is huge. Now, one thing we've not spoke about is just doing brushes that, or using brushes that don't actually exist in the pack. Now, I'm just looking at this and thinking, is the groom's face a little bit too warm? So I'm going to press K, which is a new brush, double tap preset, put everything to 0, press O, so we can see what we are painting over there. I'm going to reduce the white balance, the temperature of that area, just like that. And I think we're there now. From there to there. Okay, this is definitely Let It Rain, Not on the Ground. Probably all I would need. Now, again, I can tell that Lightroom has been unable to identify the couple here. So we're going to click on the mask, subtract, brush, and just go round the couple. We'll need to put those back up. Yeah. And also I'm going to press K, save highlights, and just go over these highlighty bits on the floor. Crop from the bottom. We don't need all that space at the bottom. That would be it. There to there. Just look at the difference in the rain. Straightforward. Base preset. Turn it up. Everything's a bit too warm. Turn it down. K faces. Just to bring up the exposure on the bride's face slightly. That would be it. Yeah, that's all I would do with that one. This is a cool photo. I really like this one. And for this, I'm going to treat this like a dancing shot. So first of all, let's apply my base preset for this. Let's look at the party shots. Maybe. No. No. Party one. I'm going to crop in closer. And now Little Vinny. Yeah. Cool. So we've gone from there to there. Very straightforward, this one. This is a good example of lower the background. The couple look good, but let's lower the background. And now let's turn that up. There, just sort of put your eye more on the couple. That's one where, you know, it's subtle, but it's really important. Another dancing one, so let's look at Night Fever this time. I keep on forgetting to apply the preset as well. Let's apply the base preset. Not that you even need to, that's the whole point. Turn down there. Okay, I quite like that as it is, to be fair. But let's see. Yeah, let's add a little bit of that mask. I don't need much. Just adds a little bit more colour. Want to get rid of that distracting element to the left. And we've got a little bit of a highlight here on this gentleman's head. So K, save highlights. Just take the sting out like that. That's it. And we've gone from there to there. Probably just a preset this, I imagine. Yeah, literally nothing more. Bit more to do in this one. So let's preset. We've got, first of all, everything's a bit overexposed. Let's just lower the whole exposure. And again, I'm looking at the face. Now I'm going to press K for save highlights and make a small brush. Just go over there. Now we need to press K again and just bring back these real like hotspotty bokeh bits, which is actually me shooting through a fountain. The video of this shoot on YouTube. Now let's pop. Not literally. That's good. We'll crop in a little bit from the left because we don't need all that. Could we maybe use pop as a... Pop is also available as a brush. Let's do that here and turn up the exposure of that like that. Yeah, that looks nice. Little Vinny, I would say. Yeah, and we're probably about there. In fact, I'm going to press lower the background highlights. So it's not going to affect the model, just the highlights in the background or the foreground. Like that, there. That makes a huge difference. So we've gone overall from there to there. This is really simple, this one. Preset, super skin faces, and maybe press K, golden gaze. We've got a little bit of warmth coming at the top. So I quite like that, just to make a small brush, just to bring that through a little bit like that. That would be it. This one, so it's all a little bit warm, so let's bring down the... Again, I'm looking at the couple when I do this. Now, this will definitely be golden gaze. Ooh, will it look too fake behind the couple? It will, but I'll turn it down. So we just put about there. Now, what's important in this shot is if you look, you can actually see, this is off-camera flash, you can see there, that is my light stand. So I'm going to press Q, and I'm just going to go over that area. You may not have realized, but obviously I'm very aware because I knew the light stand was there. That should take no time just to get rid of that. Sometimes in the video, by the way, if this takes a long time, I'm just speeding through it. Don't think that my Lightroom is like super fast or anything. Okay, let's close that. Yeah, that's better. I think that's probably it. Actually, let's pop the background just to bring a bit more back into the leaves like that. Turn it down a little bit. Yeah, that looks cool. We could super skin everything, but I don't think we need to. So we've gone from there to there. Dancing, you know the drill now. Preset. Party 1. No. Party 2. Party 2. Let's turn that down. That's a bit too over the top. About there. Let's crop in. Keep the hands in. And I might press K and go to bokeh. Just to play with the hair a little bit. And maybe even move that up slightly, the exposure of that. Yeah, Little Vinny. I often do that on dancing shots. Also, just whilst we're here, if I go to K and new brushes, you'll see that there are others, like Night Fever has its own brush, which I'll often use. Dark Skies is very similar to, well, we've got Stormy Skies as well. That will just bring back skies. So there's certain things that I maybe haven't mentioned. I think I've mentioned them all now. So with this one, we've gone from left to right. This one I put in just because the white balance is all over the place, and just to show you if you weren't already aware of how to do it. Click on this dropper tool here, then just click on an area of white or grey. You'll get the white balance pretty close like that. Oops, sorry, I need to do that again, the wrong order. Like that. Just bring that up. I wouldn't probably do anything more to that one, to be fair. But that was just to show you how to correct white balance. You just use this dropper tool here and just click on an area of white or grey. This is a good example of where Power to the People is really useful, because obviously in this shot, the two women in the foreground, very underexposed. So let's click on our preset, bring it up slightly, but we're going to bring back the background, so lower the background, but also then, in fact, let's turn that up a little bit, Power to the People, and then turn that up really quickly. We've gone from there, very underexposed, not even deliverable, to there. Huge difference, but in just a few seconds. Dancing. Okay, Party 1. Does this work? I think it does. Let's go with that. Let's crop in. Maybe a bit of clarity. Also, we've got a little bit of highlight stuff going on in the background. So let's go to lower the background highlights. That'll just take the sting out of there, as you see. Maybe even Power to the People. Just a little bit. I don't think we're going to need much. Yeah, there, I think is cool. But what we'll do is, while that Power to the People mask is still we'll select it, we'll turn up the clarity. Yeah, that's good. And then lastly, Little Vinny. So we've gone from there to there. Another one, this is made for Power to the People again. So I've just put the base preset on, turn it up slightly. That's almost there now, to be fair. But Power to the People, yeah, that looks good. Maybe pop the background, but not that much there. So we've gone from there to there. This is probably black and white, I would say. Yeah, let's black and white this one. Maybe super skin faces. Yeah. And then just maybe overall lift the exposure of everything. Yeah, I like that. Another example, I've included this one because of the fact that obviously the two people here are very underexposed, whereas the background isn't. So let's lower the background. Let's Power to the People. Now, you don't want to go too far because you don't want it to look fake, but by doing this, I think that looks natural now, but look at the difference between how it was. Another black and white one. And there we just increase the exposure of everything. Now, if I click lower the background, will it realize? Yeah, that's cool. So again, we've gone really quickly from there to there. This is nice, this one, out of camera. Obviously, I've posed this one, so it should be. So let's click on our preset and look at the histogram. I was expecting to see more gap to the right, but there isn't. I will bring back the faces. So super skin faces, which again, what that's doing, it's bringing up the exposure of the faces and also softening the skin slightly. And I think that looks okay as it is. Are we losing any detail? Yes, we are. Sorry, I have to turn that off. So let's press K. Bring it back. There we go. So again, so quick to go from there to there, and it makes a big difference. This definitely is a power to the people. Let's not apply preset, just one just to show you. That's it. Let's just turn up power to the people. It's just like turn a light on them. Yeah, that'd be it. I mean, how quick is that? If you wanted to, you could bring back the sky. Probably don't need to very much. Might look a bit fake. Maybe. Just turn it down. If you ever think it's fake, just take the edge off by turning it down. But again, from there to there. Almost there now. Okay, let's apply the preset to this one. Rather than going around that with a brush, I'll just bring up the black slightly. I'm not going to worry about that little bit there. Now, this will be a Golden Gaze horizon shot. So let's click on that. Press K to see it. Just move it to where it should be, where it looks natural. About there, maybe, a bit higher. Yep. And now we're going to go to Mr. Blue Sky from the top. Let's click on that mask. It's probably about where it should be, but with the mask selected, I'm going to just increase exposure slightly. Yeah. Lastly on this, going to increase the clarity. I mentioned earlier, I like to increase clarity on silhouettes. So I think that looks cool. Let's turn up the vibrancy as well. And let's just crop in a little bit. We don't need all that negative space at the bottom. But yeah, that's really effective to go from there to there. Big difference, that one. Okay, down to the last 3 images now. Okay, this one, I love all the green in this one, so I want to make the most of that. So I'm going to press Shift and M. That's going to give me a radial filter. Now at the moment, by pressing O, we can see that that's going to affect everything within that circle. I don't want it to. I want it to affect everything outside of the circle. So we go over to invert, and now I'm going to select green grass. Press O, and obviously that's done it really well. It's a bit too much, I would say. So let's just turn that effect down slightly and see how we're losing some of the blacks. So I might just turn up the blacks as well, just to get rid of that. There we go. Also as well, I think this effect is spoiled a little bit by the fact you can see that fence at the top. So let's just go down a little bit more. It makes it look a little bit more like it could be anywhere now rather than a wedding venue. So something like that. Also, we'll lose the groom's a little bit underexposed. So let's press K and faces and just bring him up with the front of the bride as well, I would say. Maybe a bit stronger. Something like that, I would say. Yeah, so we've gone from there to there. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, when I look at images, I always know exactly what I want to do pretty much straight away. And this one is going to be about using green grass at the bottom and also stormy skies a little bit at the top. So let's first of all press M, which is a linear gradient. We're going to select green grass. I'm just going to go up from there. Like that. Yeah. And now we're going to close that. And we're going to look at stormy skies. I think it's going to be too strong for this because, yeah, the skies were already stormy. But we can turn that down and just add a little bit like that. Yeah, that looks cool. And we've not even applied the preset to that. And we've gone from there to there just to add punch to this shot. And very last one for this tutorial video is this shot, which is so old, it was actually taken on my Nikon camera. So let's actually apply the Nikon presets. We're going to turn that down. Now, I actually quite like that, if I'm being honest, but let's, for the sake of this, obviously, apply some other mask to it. Let's try Golden Gaze from the top, but not much. That's quite strong, although I do like it, I must admit. Let me just press K and H just to move that slide. Also, if you hover over this line, we can put that coming in more of an angle. I mean, that looks really nice to me. I might try the bokeh brush, which is K and bokeh. See how it just adds some punch to there. Yeah, and now I think we just need to do a little Vinny. Yeah, maybe you can turn that up. Might crop in ever so slightly from the top left. There we go. And we've gone from there to there. Quite a dramatic change with this one. But again, one that has taken virtually no time at all. And that's it. That is 101 photographs edited. If you've got to this point, then you've done really well. And I hope that you are as excited to use these presets as I have been using them over the past few months. Well done for getting through that. 2 hours of Lightroom editing. But I really hope you found this tutorial video useful and that you really enjoy using the preset, magic masks and the brushes. I also hope that this video has shown you that by learning the process and fully understanding what each of the brushes and the presets do, you can achieve really great results in Lightroom very quickly and very easily. If you'd like to continue learning alongside me, you can do so either in my Patreon or in Flashmasters. Both of those are fantastic and supportive communities of photographers who are based all over the world, and I couldn't be prouder of both of them. Thank you very much again for investing in this preset pack, and also a big well done for making it to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoy using this preset pack as much as I do.